Your FastMCP server is ready, but how do you actually get it running inside Cursor without manual configuration headaches? You'll see exactly how to install your server with one command, whether your server object is named MCP, server, or something custom. The pattern handles automatic object detection, so you only need to specify the file name unless you want explicit control.
These are equivalent if your server object is named MCP. FastMCP install cursor server. Hi. FastMCP install cursor server. Hi, MCP. Use explicit object name if your server has a different name. FastMCP install cursor server. Hi, my custom server.
This demonstrates the implicit object discovery pattern with fallback conventions, a technique that reduces configuration overhead by inferring defaults while allowing explicit overrides. The pattern lets developers omit repetitive setup code when following conventions, but still provides escape hatches for custom scenarios. What makes this distinctive is how it balances automation with flexibility, defaulting to common cases while supporting explicit naming when needed. The approach works by establishing a hierarchy of fallback rules, where the system first checks for explicit declarations, then falls back to conventional names, and finally to sensible defaults. This creates a progressive disclosure of complexity. Simple cases require minimal code, while edge cases can be handled with targeted overrides. The design prioritizes developer experience by making common operations trivial, without sacrificing the ability to handle specialized requirements when they arise. This pattern matters because it dramatically reduces boilerplate in common scenarios while maintaining precision when needed. It solves the problem of configuration fatigue, where developers must repeatedly specify obvious defaults without locking them into a rigid system. The trade-off is a slight learning curve around the fallback hierarchy, but the payoff comes in cleaner code for the 80% case and clear override paths for the remaining 20%. It's particularly valuable in integration layers, where you want to minimize setup friction without hiding the underlying mechanics. Let's break it down line by line.
These are equivalent if your server object is named MCP. FastMCP install cursor server. Hi.
This installs the cursor tool from server. Pi, assuming the server instance uses the default name MCP. FastMCP's CLI auto-detects the object name when omitted following convention over configuration for common cases.
FastMCP install cursor server. Hi, MCP.
This explicitly targets the MCP server instance in server. Pi for cursor installation. The colon syntax disambiguates when multiple server objects exist in the same file, ensuring the tool installs to the correct instance. Use this pattern whenever your server has a non-default name or you need to be explicit.
Use explicit object name if your server has a different name. FastMCP install cursor server. Pi, my custom server.
This explicitly targets a non-default server instance name in the installation command. When your server object isn't named MCP, this syntax ensures FastMCP installs the cursor to the correct server instance, preventing connection failures to the wrong object. The colon-separated format is the standard override pattern for named server instances. FastMCP server installation pattern. The install command bridges local Python servers with AI clients through explicit object naming and dependency isolation, using either CLI flags or FastMCP JSON configuration. Omitting the object name defaults to searching for MCP, server, or app in your file, which can silently fail if none exist. Always specify dependencies explicitly. MCP clients run in isolated environments where nothing is inherited.
The server that forgets its environment becomes universal.